Hi, everyone. Get ready for the How I Raised It podcast, the show where you get an inside, unfiltered look at how real entrepreneurs raise capital for their businesses. I'm your host, Nathan Beckert, and today's episode is with Nhon Ma of Numerade, an AI-powered digital tutoring platform that has over 1 million video lessons. Pretty interesting stuff. He talks about earning the right to pitch investors, what that means, plus game theory as it applies to fundraising. Some pretty interesting topics. If you are tuning into this podcast to learn how to raise capital for your business, I've created a super valuable free welcome package for you. It includes a list of 2,500 investors who don't require a warm intro, plus 200 of the most important questions that serious investors are going to ask you. So this will help you prepare for fundraising. To get instant access to this, click the link in the first comment. And while you're there, please leave us a nice comment, what you liked about this show or this series. Last but not least, if you enjoy this conversation and think someone else would too, please share it with them and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell button so you get all our latest episodes. Thank you so much. Sit back and enjoy the chat with Nhon.
Welcome to How I Raised It, the podcast that goes behind the scenes with entrepreneurs who've raised capital. We uncover the tips, tricks, and techniques they use to get investors to write a check. Strap in and turn it up.
Hi, welcome to another episode of How I Raised It, produced by foundersuite.com. Today I have Nhon Ma of Numerade coming to us from Pasadena. How's your day going?
It's going great, Nathan. Thanks for the time and thanks for the opportunity.
My pleasure. My pleasure. What is Numerade?
Numerade is an education platform where we seek to digitize the knowledge of every single educator and student that has some mastery over any topic into short form video. We're essentially building an AI tutor that looks into content that is really a direct result of knowledge gained by individuals into building the world's largest STEM video library of content. And currently we have over 1.5 million pieces of short form video. And with this video content, the aim is to then use AI, machine learning, to personalize that experience back to students, such that the benefits of tutoring can be scaled to the masses.
Okay, interesting. That's a huge library. So it's kind of a marketplace, right? So let's take both sides of the equation. On the educators, is this the local high school science teacher that's creating some videos and getting some little kickback for it? And then let's start with that side of the equation, the creator.
Yeah, it's everyone from your high school science teacher to your professor to your PhD candidate to even your student who just learned a physics concept who has some mastery over it, right? And so the current way in which we do this from a supply standpoint is that we have over 40,000 educators that work with us. We do pay them outright for the video content, and that ranges anywhere from $5 to $10 on average. Last year over the summertime, one of our top educators created a whole bunch of videos. She earned over $30,000 over the summer, and so from the lens of an educator, it is, in essence, we are providing extra income to educators now, especially during the COVID incident. We did see a huge uptake in overall educators as more educators were at home, and we're seeing a larger phenomenon happening now with teachers that are actually leaving the field looking for other types of work. And so a lot of them are coming to us for other income opportunities. But right now we're essentially paying them outright for the videos.
And I assume, let's take it something standard, periodic table or calculus or something like there's probably a lot of content created about a particular topic. How do you surface or identify the best stuff that's not repetitive and duplicative?
Yeah, so our content type, it really straddles two types. And we really take a pedagogical view in terms of the content, meaning we look for content that actually helps students deeply learn the material. And we start from really elementary school now. So late elementary school, we're building content for 5th, 6th grade, all the way through college. And the way we think about our business and our service is that we want to help students build in the competency competency and competence in math and STEM at a really early age, such that there is this upward spiral in their careers in STEM. Because our whole entire mission of why we want to exist is to actually graduate more students into the science fields and math fields. And the reason being is because we want to elevate humanity. Our fundamental belief is that the world, there's so many issues facing humanity. It's amazing how we got to a vaccine in 12 months, right? We're still dealing with the COVID pandemic. There's going to be more issues facing us. And our fundamental belief is that science and math can help accelerate the human progress at a faster rate. And so that's our main goal. And so when we think about our content, we want to ensure that students who have some inkling or some interest in math or science in early age get the support they need. And so the way we construct our content really fits two types of content types. You have practical content and conceptual content. Practical content is leveraging the concepts that you learn in class or through our own conceptual videos and applying it. What we realize with STEM and math and science is really about repetition. Like, you have to get the reps in to really deeply learn and understand and have the sequential learning to really understand the material. And so when it comes to the content, the vast majority of our content is practical in nature. So a student who may have a question on, a physics problem or calculus or pre-algebra problem, we have an expert educator create a video tutorial against it of how to approach the problem. We may have 1, 2, or 3 or 4, or even 10 different videos aligned to that one problem, right? So those 10 different videos also represents 10 different unique teaching styles. Right. And so when we think about where we want to go, right, therein lies really interesting ways in which we can codify different teaching styles, match those up to different learning styles. But getting back to your question, we do have a view into what are the highest in demand subject areas, specific questions students are needing help with, and we're able to provide content as a result of that.
Interesting. Other side of the equation, the students, these are, I guess, K through 12 mostly?
It is, I'd say K through college. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And is it a subscription model where they're paying a monthly fee for this, or what's the business model?
That's right. It is a monthly fee. And the way we think about pricing is that, we want to price such that every single student in the world will have her own AI tutor. And your average cost per a regular in-person tutor right now is anywhere from $20 to even $100 an hour. So we price our retail price at $9.99 per month, and so it's an all-you-can-eat access to our full library of content, practical content, which is 1.5 million, and conceptual content, which are essentially our courses. We have 17 actual courses that span middle school through college, where we have PhD candidates who are TAs teaching these courses in university, basically record their courses online for us. And that content feeds into our AI tutor. And so as a student, you go on, you watch these videos that are aligned to your own curriculum. If you have struggles, our AI tutor then provides to the student, here's a study journey or study map for the next week or so, which is really a collection of more concept videos, more practical videos, and an AI quiz for the student.
Interesting. Can they get help through the system for a particular calculus problem that they're absolutely just stumped by? Like, not just the framework, but the actual.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. And therein lies the uniqueness of our product, in that, we're dealing with, the Gen Z generation who is aligned towards, a different content consumption model that is one that is more immediate in nature, but also video and short form in nature, right? And so when students have a question on a particular calculus problem, more than likely, we will have an expert video tutorial against. Your average video on Numerade is 2 minutes, but your average watch time is 7 minutes. Right. So students are going back and reviewing these videos multiple times, stopping very specific moments in those times, based on that viewing behavior, right? So I used to work at Google back in the day, and I covered the YouTube acquisition. There was a lot of interesting things we did with YouTube, understanding ad efficacy and understanding user interaction rates, right? And so when we think about what's happening with these big guys with video, we're leveraging the same type of insights to harness the robustness of data that can be gleaned from video interaction and this interactivity to really understand and pinpoint where students may have issues with in their foundational knowledge of the sequential steps to arrive at an answer or solution. So based on those data points, then we form a student profile to then understand where that student is along her learning journey, but then also where potential gaps are in her learning too, and then recommend subsequent videos, either conceptual or practical, that help illuminate that topic even more so.
Sounds cool. Yeah, it's funny. My 11-year-old daughter, the moment she needs help with anything, whether it's something school related or even how do I get the slime out of the carpet? I just spilled slime on the carpet. How do I get it? Immediately goes online, mostly YouTube, to find a video, right? It's just like, just automatic that's where she goes.
Crazy. Yeah, my 7-year-old does the same thing. He's in the second grade. It's crazy.
Incredible. How did you, so question about like coming up with the idea for this business, sort of the origin story, but I'd like to hear how you came up with the idea for business, but also how did you identify this gap in the market? Because obviously you have YouTube with a ton of content out there. You have Udemy and then you even have the Web 1.0 how-to sites, that have been around forever. So how did you sort of identify this, the market, the world needs this particular iteration of this? Yeah.
Yeah. Getting to the world needs this was really a combination of my co-founder, Alex, and myself, our own personal stories and how we came to the realization of there needs to be, equal educational opportunity for every single student. When Alex who's my co-founder, he's our CTO. When he was an undergrad in USC out here in LA, he was a volunteer math teacher to the neighboring students of the South Central area, and he was tutoring a lot of students in middle school, elementary. And he realized, oh wow, most of these students that didn't have the foundational math skills required, right? And if you look at what's happening now in the post-pandemic world, that cohort is 7-8 months behind their more affluent peers on the versus the west side of LA. I myself went through the LAUSD system. I grew up in South Central LA and saw those same discrepancy of access when I was able to get a scholarship into an elite private school out here in LA through mostly academics. And through that personal experience, realized the discrepancy of access of those who had resources versus those who did not, and really came back to we want to figure out a way in which we can figure out educational opportunity, equality amongst everyone. And so that was really the main impetus. And we realized that there's this huge industry, which is tutoring, which is a $200 billion industry globally, that is a great service, but the vast majority of families around the world just can't afford. And so when Alex and I came together, we created a company that was the precursor to Numerade, and that company was one that we created 8 years ago during my tell-in career at Google. It was a company called tutorcast.tv. And it's now part of Numerade. And so when we think during that instance, our plan was to decrease the cost of tutoring. So 8 years ago, it was this 7-year slog of a journey where it was a synchronous tutoring platform where we sold it to independent tutors and tutoring agencies. And what we quickly realized was that we couldn't actually decrease the cost of tutoring. And the reality was that in synchronous tutoring, you're dealing with a finite, a constraint, and that constraint is time. The time of a tutor is very valuable, and it's hard to replicate that. And so, as a result of this, you're still going to have students tutors in Upper East Side charging $500 an hour for his or her SAT tutoring, and so that's going to continue to remain. Right. And so when we realized we couldn't actually decrease the price, we realized that a different model had to be had. And so the TutorCast platform also allowed for easy recording functionality. And so students would, they record their sessions, go back and review it many, many different times. And we realized that behavior of reviewing your videos was actually foundational to the learning process, and the content that was being produced there and recorded was of tutors going over problems step by step, providing explanations. So we thought we can just take that content, make it more freely available to as many students, and perhaps the benefits of tutoring can be scaled to the masses. And so that opened up the idea of what if we just did that and try to digitize every single expert's knowledge into the short form video content.
Yeah, that makes sense. That really, I can see the epiphany being that synchronous versus asynchronous, right? I mean, that's kind of
most definitely
what allows it to scale, right?
Most definitely.
Very interesting. Cool. Well, let's talk about raising capital. How many rounds have you guys raised, and how much total?
We raised we raised 3 rounds, total of close to 30 million in total.
Let's talk about, let's go chronologically. So the first one, TutorCast TV, did you raise money for that, or did you bootstrap that?
No, I think we bootstrapped it. We got rejected probably over 100 times. You know, your typical founder story. The market was not pulling us. We were pushing ourselves into the market. Right. And so, that was, we weren't able to raise any money for TutorCast. Yeah. But
then you fold this into, or I don't know how the legal structure was, but you fold this into Numerade, and then, talk about that seed round.
Yeah. So the seed round for us, our lead investor, which was from General Catalyst, came together pretty fast. Once we built the MVP for Numerade, we realized that this can actually scale very well, largely because of the word of mouth that was happening. We realized that we hit this early product market fit where the distribution was amazing for us, something that we didn't see on the TutorCast side. And so there's these early signals of product market fit that helped really showcase the seed investors that, hey, there's something here. And so that was kind of the main impetus of raising that. And we realized that, okay, the seed round came together real fast too. It was all about getting the first lead to come on board, right? And then after that, everything kind of came together.
And that, you said that was General Catalyst led it?
Correct.
So you raised a seed round from big funds. Maybe talk about that instead of going for angels or for seed funds, right? I don't know how they are, but
we definitely had seed funds as well, but also angels as part of that mix. So I feel like in that seed stage, this was probably more of a pre-seed stage, using today's kind of today's world. So it was more of a pre-seed stage. So we did have one early angel who was amazing. I would say having an early angel that is very important, because he or she can just really open his or her Rolodex to you. And that definitely was a case for us, right? And so that helped us get a whole bunch more contacts to talk to. That led to these intros to these bigger funds, in addition to seed funds as well. So we actually kind of went, angel, seed funds, and also big, more traditional guys.
Were you worried about taking a pre-seed round from a large, big fund because there's some signaling issue there if they don't, lead the next round?
Yeah, at that point, there wasn't any worry. We're definitely cognizant of potential signaling impacts, later on if they didn't, follow on. But at that point, I think the brand name was strong, and when we thought about, what we wanted to do, it was just Alex and I. It was, hiring was a big piece there, and so brand name mattered. I think matters a lot, especially during that time, because during the seed stage, you can only really hire a few folks, and they're going to be under their own market salary, and so you need definitely the vision, but then your existing backers, if they come from a great brand like General Catalyst, then that helps a lot with the hiring.
Okay. You talked about pitching TutorCast 100 times, getting rejected. What was the pipeline looking like for this pre-seed round? How many investors did you talk to, and did you have any process for for getting these intros other than one angel investor making intros for you?
I think a lot of it is your own network too. I think as an entrepreneur, getting into raising, you have to have either folks who are your mentors or advisors who can make intros, for you on your behalf. But then also as an entrepreneur, you're always constantly selling. And so you do have to develop a deep Rolodex too. So a lot of it was obviously ourselves as a founder team, myself and Alex, our collective network coming together, making, seeing who we knew, in addition to our angel investor who provided the intros. But I would say the seed round came together very fast because we had the traction. I think at the end of the day, the traction was probably the most important, right? That we were able to get zero CAC on what we're doing, right? And so I think that trumps everything in the seed stage, mm-hmm. right?
For us, what was your traction like? Give us some feel for it, so people listening to this can kind of know like what that means, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we were doing, I gotta look at the numbers, but I want to say tens of thousands of DAUs on launch, something like that. All at zero CAC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I gotta look, but it was something in that magnitude, I would say.
Was it users or paid subscribers? I mean, like, I guess maybe the question is, could you raise this round just on active users, or did you have the
well, the retention numbers were very strong. So we were pre-revenue at that time, and so it was really total growth rate, and also the retention was very strong. So that gave an indication of revenue down the road.
Yeah.
And so when we thought about the business, it was the distribution was, we basically found an amazing distribution channel. And a model that was very low cost too, right, in terms of what we're trying to do, and the underlying fundamentals of the business was strong, right? So I think in the seed stage, if you can present that case, then it's an easier sell.
What zero CAC, meaning zero cost of customer acquisition?
That's right.
How did you do that? It's word of mouth. What does that mean?
Yeah, for us, it was mostly word of mouth. Yeah, word of mouth worked very well. We do very well in SEO too.
Just students telling other students?
Correct.
Or is it some other way you juiced that or gamified it or something?
Definitely students telling each other. Our content does well in SEO too. So we got a lot of SEO traffic. But the word of mouth was great too. Did you
juice it at all, or is it just pure organic word of mouth?
Pure organic, yeah. We really just tapped into this core need, and I think at the end, it all goes back. You can juice things so much, but in order to get something sustainable, you really have to dive into a key core problem and a need of a user, and we were able to find that and really just double down on that in a big way. And that core need of a user was around, they just need help. Students just need help in STEM. And so if you can attach to that, then everything else follows. You just have to serve that need. So for us, it wasn't about the hacking. It was just about servicing this underlying fundamental need that every single student who's in STEM just needs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's impressive though, because there is, like we talked about a few minutes ago, there are multiple other options out there. So it's amazing that your word of mouth was so strong. Cool. All right. Next two rounds, any notable things about that? Maybe Series A, was it just a kind of extension of that seed or what?
Yeah, the second one was an extension in the seed before the pandemic, right? That gave us the ammo that we needed to just really turbocharge everything into the summertime in light of the pandemic, right? And so we went into the pandemic well funded in a true seed round, and then went into that summer just executing on all fronts. I think the beauty of that is that as a founder, you don't have to think about the fundraising for a while. And then you're just 100% focused on the products and the service, which is critical at that stage.
So, and who led that? How much was it? And that was, so were you
It
saying
was
right?
3 million. General Counsel led it again. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
And that was, you said right before COVID or right as COVID hit, right as summer of COVID?
Right before, yeah, before even hit, yeah. I think it was that January or February we closed it, and then that March, the pandemic hit.
I'm assuming the pandemic was probably very good for you guys. Like, would it have even benefited you to wait 2 more months?
It probably would. It probably would, honestly. But for us, it was good just to have that peace of mind, knowing that okay, we can actually really go 10x over the summer, and just continue to focus. Right. So
yeah,
the fundraising process is just so distracting and time consuming that we just wanted to put that to bed as soon as possible.
absolutely. And when was this, the most recent round? Talk about that one. Same guys, same firms?
No, we definitely got new firms. Actually, a great set of amazing strategic operational partners. IDG Capital led this round, and I'd say this round was, it was obviously my our seed round, but the magnitude of it was a pretty large one. It's kind of like a Series B round, but for us, the way we thought about this was, we're onto this larger vision and purpose of why we want to do what we want to do, which is to help every single student in the world get the benefits of AI tutor. And if we can execute on this, then that vision that I painted before of really accelerating the rate of human progress can be realized in a big way. And so I think going into the Series A, we thought about where we thought education was going to go to. Being a parent of a 7-year-old and a 6-year-old and seeing what's happening in Zoom classes in my son's class was further validation of that we are living in this archaic system of education. And there has to be a new model in place. And the model that we see in place is one that is more modular and one more that's more personalized in nature. And so the journey was really crystallizing this vision of what we see wrong with the world. And I think COVID was a big catalyst of it, and crystallizing this vision and getting others in the form of obviously clients, subscribers, but also investors to be part of this mission, to see the world the way we see it. And so, I think that was a super high level of why, because I'd say raising the Series A was more grueling than that of raising the other runs. Big time.
Why is that?
It does all start with your traction. Like if you don't have traction, you shouldn't even trying to raise. I think maybe you can do it off of an idea and you'll have a small check unless you're a proven founder. But getting into the Series A round, the bars is so much higher because there is a lot of capital out there and there's a lot of capital going towards seed deals, and that's great. But there's less great companies that produce revenue and profitable, sustainable revenue where they're not paying for users, right? And so, for us, it was just a lot of hard work getting to this point where the data, the traction proved the fact that, hey, the underlying fundamentals of the business is just healthy and strong. So you got to start there. But you also have to start with why. Why do you want to take in Series A money to begin with? So if you don't have that crystallized at all, then you shouldn't even be talking to investors to begin with, because that's a lot of money, especially in the seed round these days. And so you have to get your why right of why why you want to do this. If it's just another photo sharing app and you're trying to push more depression to the world, even in an indirect way, then that's not a strong why. Maybe to some other venture capitalists, but it's from our vantage point now, we realize that it matters what you create. It matters how you spend your time. It matters why you're talking to other people, because the only thing you have in this life is your time. And so if you want to allocate it toward the trivia, that's great, but our foundation belief is you should allocate it towards the meaningful. And so the why is critical. And the years before the why is how you build your business to get to the point where, okay, you have something to present and you've earned the right to talk to an investor to potentially invest in you. Right. So it's the way we see it is that you got to earn your chance to pitch someone.
Yeah.
You have to earn your right to get a warm intro to someone else.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, when you break it down into the actual, so we got the why, right? You got the traction, right? Which is a collection of just years of just toil and sweat, mm-hmm. right? With your team who's done amazing work. But there's clearly battle scars across that. But then when you get tactically, it's all about the intros again. For us, we wanted to talk to 100. So you talk about the funnel. You want to talk to 100, we talked to 50. We landed, 8, 7 offers.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the funnel, I mean, it's, as an entrepreneur, I think the best skill to do is just cold calling. Back in TutorCast, I remember we cold call, I'd cold call maybe 100, agencies a day, right? Hi, how are you? Click. Hi, how are you? Click. Right. So you have to build your sense of resilience in the face of rejection on a daily basis, because even in the seed stage, even the B stage, even if you're trying to hire people, you're going to get rejected every day. And so it's how you react to that really matters. And I think along the way, you need to have great advisors to guide you through the process. I would say no to the advisors who ask for 2% of your company and ask for like 200,000 up front. Those are, you shouldn't do that. But advisors who believe in what you're doing and want to take your vision and help you implement that vision into the world is key, because there's a lot, there are sharks that you're swimming with. And I think going through that process, I realized that, I think the investor community in the fundraising process, everyone, you just have to understand game theory. You have to understand incentives.
Talk about that a little bit. Like, what do you mean? Explain that concept. Theory as it applies to fundraising. Mm-hmm.
It's a real small world out there in fundraising. Everyone knows each other. And when you're talking to someone, who knows what is being said. And so you have to be guarded, but then at the same time, you have to express conviction and confidence in your business and trust in that this person can be someone that you will want to partner with for the next 10 years, right? And so the interactions that you have with investors, I feel like as I've done this more and more, it is one now where you have a chance to interview them in every single step of the way. And in the first 2 minutes of a conversation with an investor, it has to pop right then and there how they can add value. It may not be said explicitly, and it may be indirectly, but you can just feel it at times. You can feel it when an investor is like, oh, it's just a template that they're reading from, right? Right? Or whether or not they deeply have thought about your business. It's the questions that they ask too that's really interesting. I feel like an investor, through their set of questioning and the way they present their business, feels like they understand your business. They can help you go from, 10 to 100 million in revenue. Like, those are the ones you want to look for. And you can tell in the first few minutes.
Interesting. Do you have a set of questions that you kind of ask them? Or is it just kind of tuning into what they're asking you? Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a great opportunity, because a lot of investors, if I was an investor, I would do the same thing and try to talk to, a lot of great companies too. And even the companies that are up and coming, a lot of the questions I ask are around, thoughts about the industry, who else they're talking to, how can you 10x our business? What are ways in which we can 10x our business? Ways in which you can help surface how deeply an investor has thought about the business. Mm-hmm. I think operational experience is very important too. Investors that have operational experience can give you a lot of great tactical advice from hiring to strategy to execution. So you want to, it's interesting now because we're going through this growth phase where we're looking to hire just tons of folks. And I think it's a similar dynamic. Like you want to have like interview questions set up as if they were going to be part of your team.
Okay, cool. Good. All right. I won't keep you too much longer. Any tips, just general tips you like to give startup founders, maybe seeking your advice on raising capital, maybe for ed tech companies, or anything you would tell your younger self if you were doing this all over again?
I think the only advice I would tell others or myself is to stay authentic. Stay authentic. There's just so much going on right now in the world, especially with entrepreneurship and even across the board, where there is this kind of let's follow the one who has quote unquote made it. And we certainly haven't made it yet. And others in our stage, I think there's still, a lot of rounds to go. But at the end of the day, it gets back to the entrepreneur as to why they're doing what they're doing. Why are they spending all their time? Why are they taking below market rate? Why are they suffering to do what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And to be authentic to that, because I think that comes across even stronger in the pitch. It comes stronger in how you build a team and build really an alliance of why do you want to work with someone for the next 5 or 7 years, because that's your time. So I would advise, it's great to get, tactics and strategies. But the main strategy is to stay true to yourself and be authentic to who you are, because there's only one you, right? You can't be another Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs. You can just be yourself, and that's like your collective experience. And so tap into that. That's worked for us. And I would say, that's the main thing.
Very cool. If people want to learn more or sign up or get their kids leveled up in STEM, it's Numerade, Numerade.com, Numerade.com.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Anything you want to pitch or plug on before we wrap up here?
No, Nathan, I appreciate your time and the opportunity. I definitely checked out your podcast when we were on the fundraising round 2 and got a lot of great insights too. It's always great to see others go through the process that gives other entrepreneurs, just really inspiration that, hey, it can be done, and there's ways of doing it. I think for us, from a Numerade standpoint, if anyone else out there has kids that are in middle school or beyond, even in elementary school, and you're not looking to pay an arm and a leg for a tutor, definitely sign up for Numerade.com.
Awesome. I might point I have a 7-year-old too. I might point him to it. We're doing some fractions already. I think he's already smarter than me. Like getting to the point where I can't help him on that stuff anymore. And I hear you. Get him on the AI. Cool. All right. Thanks so much. Good luck. Good mission. And we'll catch you after the next round.
Thank you so much, Nathan.
Over and out. Thank you.
Bye now.